Welcome back to Anime Lockdown, Mike Toole. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, hey, am I live?
You are live, my friend.
All right, great, let's do it.
Giant Robo, greatest anime ever?
Some say it's up there, and hopefully we're going to learn all about it at our exciting panel. So am I good to go?
Yes, that exciting panel is now.
I'm taxiing down the runway, folks. Okay, well, welcome everyone to my panel about Giant Robo, the greatest anime ever made. In my particular estimation, I'm curious. It looks like we got about 150 people in the chat, and I'm wondering how many people haven't seen Giant Robo at all. So if you haven't seen it at all, just do an emoji, say hi, something like that, and because I'm curious. Okay, so there are people who are newbies, and what I'm hoping is that this will entice you to check it out. And the people who have seen it once or twice, you'll learn some new things. And the people who know Giant Robo front and back, it's my hope that I'll hopefully sneak something in there that maybe you didn't know before. But just to get things underway, hey guys, my name is Mike Toole. I am a producer for Discotheque Media. In fact, I produced the Blu-ray release of the anime we're about to go over with a fine-tooth comb, conveniently enough. Somehow, I'm the editor at large at Anime News Network. I don't contribute as much as I did in earlier years, but you still see a story from me on that site from time to time. And I'm a big old dumb nerd. I like to post on Twitter. There's my handle. But let's go right into it and watch the intro of this series, and watch closely. A lot of details.
In a future yet to be, the third energy revolution is ushered in by the invention of the Shizuma Drive, and with it, mankind celebrates a new era of prosperity. But lurking in the shadows cast by the brilliance of our newfound hope, two great powers clash. Big Fire, a secret organization bent on total world domination.
Hail, Big Fire! Allegiance or death!
But despair not. To defend us from the threat they pose, the international police organization's mighty experts of justice have been formed, comprised of members from around the globe. Fighting by their side is the greatest robot on the planet, Giant Robo, commanded solely by one young man, Daisaku Kusama.
Crush them! Go, Giant Robo!
So that's Giant Robo in a nutshell. It's kind of the Indiana Jones of robot shows. But let's move on. Let's first talk about what giant robots are, because if you're a recent fan, you think of giant robots as this guy, good old Gurren Lagann, or one of the OG giant robots, Mazinger Z. Mazinger Z was actually the first robot to have a pilot, which technically that means it's not a robot, it's not autonomous, it's a robot-shaped vehicle. Earlier, you had the first robot to be on TV anime in color, Astro Ganger, but the very first anime giant robot was this guy.
It's another smoke robot! A new one! Jimmy, grab the unit for Gigantor and see if you can make the remote controls work! Yes, sir! Come on, Gigantor, get up! Get up!
Oh yeah, that's distinctive. But we're not going to watch the Gigantor intro. Frankly, I have too many video clips. We got to go back further to see the real origin of the giant robots that we're going to see in this panel. This was 1963. Good old black and white. Let's go back earlier. Let's try 1960.
出現してすでに十数分、怪物の破壊力には恐るべきものがあります。市民には緊急避難命令が出されております。
所長さん、どうしたんでしょう。
鋼鉄の怪物だけではさっぱりわからん。
ロボットのことじゃないんでしょうか。
なるほど。翔太郎君、確かめに行こう。ヘリコプターで行けば羽黒市までは十数分で行けるからね。
はい、参りましょう。
集まれー！
I'm sure massing up and firing their guns like that was the real safe way to do things. But this is Tetsujin 28, which we would later learn to know as Gigantor. This was the original Tokusatsu production because before they animated it for TV, they made this horrible thing. And it's not surprising because in the 1950s, this was based on a very popular manga series. And to learn about that, we'll start by taking a look at this. And the thing is, robot anime wasn't a big trend back then because it was all very new. Like the big robot anime of the 50s was, of course, Astro Boy, Tezuka's production of a normal child-sized robot. And this was actually, Tetsujin 28 was actually part of a different trend, not the giant robot trend. It was part of the boy detective trend. As you can see from the mysterious detective mask, and of course, good old Billy Puck, who is known to readers of certain manga as a tastemaker of the 50s. But yeah, so this was chasing a different trend, and it kickstarted the robot trend. And let's learn a few quick facts about the author of Tetsujin 28 and later other things. Mr. Mitsuteru Yokoyama. This guy led a really interesting life. He was born in 1934, before the Pacific War really picked up in Kobe. And after the war ended and he reached adulthood, he went into finance. He was going to be a banker. He went into high finance, but there was a problem. He really liked to draw comics, and he was creating comics for rental comic shops because that's what was done at the time for a lot of these artists. And so he decided to retire from banking because he didn't have enough time to draw comics. And he took up work to pay the bills as a sign painter, and he painted flyers for local movie theaters. And then he met this dude, who some of you may recognize as Osamu Tezuka. And Tezuka brought him in and published a sample manga that he created. This is a thing called Maken Reiken, Magic Sword. And it's a period piece with ninjas and samurai and the titular magic sword. And this was good enough. This caught Tezuka's interest. So he got Yokoyama placed in one of his magazines. And this was Yokoyama's debut title, Shirayuri Koshinryoku, March of the White Lilies. This guy's big deal start as a professional was doing shoujo manga. This was his first full-time manga. And it's about this adorable girl, Sachiko. She's a piano prodigy, and she's really taken with her instructor's son, and he turns out to be a yakuza. And she wants to reform him, but his gang isn't just going to let him walk, and then hijinks ensue. Shortly after this debuted and ran for a couple of volumes, he came up with Tetsujin 28 in Shonen Magazine. And this was serious competition to Tezuka's Astro Boy, which was running in the same magazine. This one was way grittier, didn't have a lot of comedy. It was hard-boiled. And when Tetsujin 28 comic wrapped up in 1965 after the successful anime version, Yokoyama was approached by Toei, and they had the idea for the first, what you'd call a media mix thing now, where an anime, a manga, and some other stuff all kind of launched at once. And after 10 years of waiting, children finally got to meet, in Japan, the ultimate giant robot, this guy.
Giant robot, obey! Into the air, up and away!
That robot is now at Mach 19.
Yeah, so Mach 19, that's about 30,000 miles an hour. So, if you want to go to Sydney in 70 minutes, Giant Robo can. This was the English version, which was called Johnny Sacco and his Flying Robots. As you can tell from the background music, UK Johnny Sacco. But the deal was, this was something that Yokoyama created not just as a manga, but he developed it for television. So he kind of created both the TV series and the manga at the same time. The manga debuted just a few months prior to the TV series. So you can really see this idea that we're going to be exploring a little bit later start to take shape. And now I'm going to show you just a few seconds of this next thing because this is important. This is the next step in Yokoyama's development. We saw him do shoujo manga. We saw him do boy detective stuff and giant robot stuff. Now let's see him do Magical Girl.
魔法の国からやってきたちょっとジャムな女の子サリーサリー不思議な力で街中に夢と笑いを振りまくのサリーサリー魔法使いサリー
So take a Magic Girl and Tom and Jerry, and in this case, Bewitched, because that was kind of the style that Yokoyama was chasing. Bewitched was very popular at the time, and you have Sally the Witch, Sally. It had all kinds of interesting influences, like the whole magical girl trend of like the main character and then her two buddies, the jock and the rich girl. These got their start with this one, and I felt it was very important also to show the black and white intro. Because one of the first Magical Girl series was, of course, Secret Akko-chan. Sally the Witch beat Secret Akko-chan to the air by a matter of weeks, but was in black and white at first rather than color. And he wasn't a one-trick pony, too. He would revisit Magical Girls in this, which is one of my favorite Magical Girls. So that's Comet-san, in which, an interstellar royal princess has to come to Earth and is cursed to become a real human girl with acne and bad posture and stuff. So yeah, he was this guy was a pioneer of magical girl stuff as well as giant robot stuff. So this is what he was doing through the mid-'60s. And towards the late 60s, he would take another turn with this series. This is called The Water Margin, also known as Suikoden. He did this from 1967 to 1971. It ran about 8 volumes, based on one of the great classics of Chinese literature. And some of you, I'm sure, will recognize the Suikoden title. If nothing else, you remember the JRPG, right? With 108 heroes. Yeah, this is the same thing. Or, it's the same basis. It's about 108 outlaws who, they're exiled from the Song Dynasty and come together in a marsh beneath Mount Liang, Liangshanpo, and they win over the people through their valorous deeds and become heroes themselves. And good guys versus bad guys, absolute classic stuff. And after he started doing this stuff, he started dabbling in science fiction, which is good because we can go back to watching anime clips again.
この電波をキャッチできる者こそ私と同じ能力を持っている。それこそ我が二世である。そして今やっとその能力を備えた人間が現れた。ようこそ我が二世。私の名をバビルという。私は君にこの塔の全てを与えよう。私は私と同じ能力を持った人間に全てを任せられることを幸せに思う。今日から君はバビル二世。バビル二世だ。
今日からあなた様を3つのしもべがお守りします。
3つのしもべ？
あなた様をここへご案内した会長ロクロス。あなた様の脳波で動くロボットポセイドン。そして何にでも変身できる私ロデン。
様はあのカプセルに100日の間入っていただいてコンピューターによる教育を受けていただきます。
So that's good stuff. This is Babel II, and this was the start of Yokoyama's 70s cycle. And here we see that the boy is a descendant of an ancient alien, and he's got all these cool sidekicks. Yeah, his main power is he gets into these crazy, psychic death battles and screams the bad guys to death. And you'll notice that his servants, while are super robotic and otherworldly, they're not piloted robots. This Yokoyama sticks pretty fast to the idea of a robot as an autonomous assistant rather than something you drive. That would change over time, but that doesn't really intersect with our story. And this originally ran from 71 to 73. There was a hit anime adaptation, and I'm going to look at one of his next science fiction manga not using manga screenshots, but using a much more recent OVA just to spice things up.
まず目覚めたらしい。
ラ、君が確かめるために日本へ行ってくれ。
I want you to remember these faces. It's a big part of Giant Robo's appeal. But this isn't ominous enough. Let's meet the title hero of this series called Mars.
どこから来たの？本当は喋れるんじゃないの？ハルミ、お願い、何か喋って。
まず私が相手だ。
Oops, I forgot to subtitle that part. So what is Mars about? Mars is about a naked boy who barely ever says anything. This was a manga series by Mitsuteru Yokoyama concerning a human boy, or is he, with a secret that could destroy the world. And there's a cohort of secretive, creepy robot-using figures called the Observers who oppose him. And but of course, he has his own robot to help him out called Gaia. And this was originally published in Shonen Champion later in the 70s, 76 to 77. And let's cover that up with something a little bit more work safe. And let's see the robots in action, because Mars's robot Gaia is pretty cool, and so is the robot he fights in this clip.
急いでこの場を離れるんだ。はあ！司令部と連絡を取るんだ。
この至近距離からオルトスの熱戦に耐えられるか、ガイア！
Gaia do? Gaia shoots a million zillion photon lasers at the bad guys. So this OVA we just watched was an interesting thing. This was actually created contemporaneously with the Giant Robo OVAs, and you can see how they kind of influence each other. This OVA was directed by a guy named Junji Nishimura, and I want you to remember that name. But yeah, figured this would be more fun to watch than to look at screenshots of the manga, which I saw George, who will be having his own panel tomorrow, talked about how the ending of this was a little bit infamous. Yeah, this is a real go for broke series. It's a shame it never came out in English. My favorite detail of the comic, which they have always had to change for anime adaptations, there are a couple. The bad guys in the comic are never really named. You never really know who they are. They just show up and they just fight. But yeah, remember the name Junji Nishimura. But what I wanted to hammer home with these clips was, hey, yeah, you saw those weird robots in Mars that took place in this manga from the 70s. But if you remember that intro to Giant Robo, what's going on here? It's the same robots. Anyway, let's meet some bad guys when they were good guys.
間近かもしれん。この指示は曹操軍との決戦が迫ったことを示唆していた。
官兵、周瑜が火攻めをかける前に俺たちが背後からウリンを襲おうか。
そりゃいい。先に攻撃をかけた方が有利だもんな。あ
あ、周瑜に曹操の首なんか取らせてたまるかい。この長飛様がいただきだい。
いや、俺がもらう。
Yeah, I like that there are people in the chat who recognize these characters from the Dynasty Warriors games. This is from the Romance of the Three Kingdoms, which Mitsuteru Yokoyama did as a manga famously in the 70s. This is probably his most popular work in Japan because it ran forever, 60 volumes total. There was a TV adaptation, and of course, like all frickin' Romance of the Three Kingdoms adaptations, the TV version only made it to the Battle of Red Cliff before quitting. How come they all do that? The whole thing is good. And as much as we're looking at the robot angle of Yokoyama's work, this is probably his most famous work, and I think that's kind of interesting. But how do we get from Mitsuteru Yokoyama to this nerd here, who is our other key figure? This theater kid is Yasuhiro Imagawa, who would become the director of Giant Robo. So let's trace his career path to get us there and to help us realize why Giant Robo is so good. So Imagawa was born in 1961. He loved anime and manga as a kid. His favorites were Garo Magazine and Tetsujin 28, and he was a Rocky Horror nerd and a Trekkie in high school. What made him fall in love with anime was this series here, Josephine the Whale. And no lie, this is actually a good show. It fired his imagination. And it spurred him on after high school to enroll in the Tatsunoko Anime Research Institute, because most large studios used to have training departments. Toei still does, but not many others still do. And his seatmate at Tatsunoko and good buddy was a kid named Fumio Ida. Ida was already a part-time animator and very good. And here's one sequence that Ida is well known for participating in. I don't have any sound in this, but I'm sure you can recognize it. This is from the Macross movie. Yeah. You know, Itano came up with the idea of the circus, but he didn't always animate the circus himself. That was Ida's thing. Did you guys see did you see the beer can? Anyway, Imagawa saw the kind of work a couple of years before Ida did this, and just kind of looked at it and thought, oh crap, I can't do this. I can't be an animator. Fortunately for him, you can still work in the anime business if you can't animate. You could be a production runner, a story editor, all kinds of things. So what Imagawa ended up doing was he studied under the celebrated director and screenwriter Hiroshi Sawagawa. Not only did this guy direct the Speed Racer anime, he co-created Time Bokan. He was a key figure at Tatsunoko. Sasagawa had trained Mamoru Oshii, among many other people. And Imagawa's first big project, as on the director track, was the TV movie Bremen 4. Once again, based on the Tezuka thing, so you can see his hand in everything. He was a special assistant to the director, Mr. Sasagawa, on that. Then Imagawa would go on to Sunrise, where he would draw storyboards for Dougram and Zabungle. He got his first episode directing credit in Aura Battler Dunbine, and Tomino liked the guy, so he continued to work with him on Heavy Metal Elgime. And he was slated to work on Zeta Gundam, but he decided to leave at that time because he wanted to expand his range. And he did that by working on this show.
でも先がどうなってるかわからないから心配だな。そうね。うわなんだ愛想のない姉ちゃん。
This is how golf really works, by the way.
何
あのヘビ女軽く振ってるようなのにボールの伸びがすごいぞ。
So yeah, that's suspenseful, isn't it? So this is something called Pro Golfer Saru, and this ran on TV for 3 straight years. It was from Shin-ei. He worked on this with a director named Junji Nishimura. Oh yeah, it's that guy. So turns out they would work together. And he made his debut as an episode director on this series. He had a lot more control than working with Tomino's team. He actually directed and storyboarded 17 episodes. And this series was supposed to be 52 episodes. It ended up being 147. And yeah, Nishimura directed. Imagawa did 17 episodes, but long before this show even finished, he jumped productions and graduated to his very first director's job, which we're going to look at after we see the secret pro golfer Saru technique called flag wrap. I love this. Watch the flag. Yes, every golfer knows flag wrap. That's how you do it. That's real golfing. But this is what Imagawa worked on next, not too long before he finally got started on Giant Robo. For Food Wars, there was Mr. Ajikko, about food so good it made you fly up into space. And this is where Imagawa would build his repertoire for visual drama and also grow as a screenwriter, adapting the manga. He had entered the anime business in 1979, this dude, and he made it to the director's chair in just 8 years for a whole series. That's insane. And once again, this is something that was only planned for 26 episodes, but it did so well that they did 99 of them. And this is also, this isn't confirmed, but Imagawa will talk your ear off about how, this clearly was an inspiration for shows like Iron Chef. And then this was, we're towards the end of the 80s at this point. A dream project seemed to fall into Imagawa's lap. He was approached by a guy named Yamaki, who had just founded a new animation studio called Phoenix Animation. Not Studio Phoenix, I screwed that up. It's Phoenix Animation. To work with a partner on the revival of a classic series. And so Imagawa attended meetings. He submitted a story draft. He worked together with a famous mechanical designer, an up-and-comer named Kobayashi. And, they were going to make this thing called Space Battleship Yamato Resurrection. But that got canceled and would not be revived until a long time after, in 2009, made by a completely different staff. But that's okay, because there's a twist in the tale there. Yamaki had another job for him, and that was Giant Robo the animation. And so that one was conceived as an anniversary project in tribute to Mitsuteru Yokoyama, who was still kicking and still doing great work at that point. So Imagawa immediately asked to do Tetsujin 28, his childhood favorite, but he was turned down because TVMS were already doing their own Tetsujin 28 project, which I'm going to show you in a second, just the screenshot because it looks ridiculous. So instead, the idea was they were going to do Giant Robo based on the swinging 60s classic, the live action series, and the manga, with one big twist. They could use Giant Robo and his boy assistant there, Daisaku, as controller. But all the other story elements, the alien Emperor Guillotine, the unicorn organization, no, those were off limits. They had to do something else. Imagawa had an idea. But yeah, this was the Tetsujin 28 project that stymied him from doing his. Look at how 90s that looks. That is the most 90s you could possibly make Tetsujin 28. But that's okay. So Imagawa's idea, which he felt certain would be turned down because it was too extravagant and fabulous, was to take characters from all of Yokoyama's pantheon, from Tetsujin 28, from Babel II, from Suikoden and Romance of the Three Kingdoms, even some of his lesser known works, and put them all into one grand story. And Yokoyama said yes. So now, going into 1991 for release in 1992, he had a hell of a thing to put together. And he did.
Issei, Yoshi, what's your status?
On our way, sir! You just need to hold out a little longer! We'll be there soon!
Good. I'll count on it.
Ah! Issei! We have to hurry!
Right!
Hi! Hi!
Excuse me, coming through!
We're under attack from
They won't stand a chance!
You're right! We'll teach them not to mess with justice!
Indeed! Justice will prevail! 16 in the heavens, 8 on the earth! Who for to be? No! How dare you! Do you realize what you've...
You will answer to Yoshi, the blue beast!
Answer this! There's too many of them! Old fool!
You fully succumb to the influences of my Taoist sorcery. And once my enchantment has taken hold, even a member of the Magnificent Ten would find it near impossible to escape its grasp.
So one thing that's cool about Giant Robo is that it was so nice, they dubbed it twice. It was licensed by a couple of different companies in the 90s and the 2000s. You can have an English dubbed version that is somewhat inaccurate, but it has the voice of Spike Spiegel in it and is really bombastic and fun. Or you can have a slightly truer version. It's a little more subdued, but it has the voice of Dr. Robotnik there as the Taoist monk, he say. So there you saw Yoshi, one of the heroes of the water margin, now a lady, but still as badass as ever, fighting against one of the observers from Mars. So you can see, Imagawa and his team just fearlessly mixing these characters, and Wild West motifs, horses, retrofuturism, all kinds of cool stuff. And that's just part of what he was drawing on. He was also doing stuff like this.
The future has shone upon us with its glorious brilliance. The time to seize our destiny and conquer all our fears is now. In ancient time, man rubbed sticks together to create fire. Then they slaughtered the whale and battled one another for oil. After that came the atomic age. In every chapter of our history, we danced with danger. But now it will be different. For the first time in existence, we will be delivered from fear. Finally, we will escape the prison of our illusions, and the beautiful night will embrace us all!
We cannot afford to leave this to him a moment longer.
That's right! We have to stop him at all costs! He's lost his mind!
Damn you to hell, man!
You can't do this! You've gone completely out of control!
Pull him away! The experiment isn't ready! It's too dangerous!
So some pretty crazy visuals there. And the music you're hearing in the background is Donizetti's aria. It's a recurring leitmotif for what we're seeing here, because what drives the story of this is a disaster that had happened years before. And you see it, at least part of it, in almost every episode of Giant Robo. But every time, it's a little different because different characters remember it differently. And it's also kind of funny because Donizetti's aria that's from a comedy, but it sounds mournful and tragic. So that's how they use it. And because not everyone remembers this stuff the same way. This is also one area where I kind of dig the newer dubbed version, which was produced by NYAV Post, because the actor who plays Dr. Franken von Vogler, who was recycled from Tetsujin 28, he definitely has a Werner Herzog thing going on, and I'm pretty sure that's deliberate. And we're going to get back to Werner Herzog, believe it or not. Anyway, it's a sheer coincidence that the character's name is Dr. Franken, and Imagawa is a Rocky Horror fan, Frankenfurter. But it's not just stuff like that. Another thing that this series goes into and is really cool for it is the bad guys aren't really bad guys. They're ruthless. They have goals that are not necessarily ethical, but they're complex. They think about what they're doing.
Despite the inexperience of our new associate, this mission's success has been extraordinary. First, to confound and terrorize the masses with the threat of a second Bashtal, and then to use our samples to take control of the world's Shizuma drives. Then it's off to Shanghai, where we hold the oil fields ransom while our enemies fumble around in the dark. Really, sir, it's inspired, wouldn't you agree? It is, however, no small inconvenience that even members of Big Fire should be so adversely affected.
Aren't you troubled by how all this is being handled, Ivan?
Eh?
Ask yourself, for what reason would Big Fire create such cataclysmic weapons?
Why, for total world domination, of course.
Really? And what of Giant Robo's nuclear power drive, kept a secret even from the Magnificent Ten? And now the Giant Sphere's nullification of all Shizuma drives across the planet. Are you not concerned this poses a threat even to us?
Lord Alberto, you as a member of the Magnificent Ten shouldn't say such things. It might be considered treasonous by Big Fire.
Ivan?
Forgive me, Master. I forgot my place. I don't know what I was thinking.
I thought I saw a rat. Never mind. Come.
Yeah, every single character in this can run and jump at 1,000,000 miles an hour. So yeah, it's Alberto, the guy with the hair that looks like a bum. He's a cool character because not only is he freakishly powerful with superpowers that don't really make sense, he's a complicated man. He wants to defeat his adversaries, but he doesn't want to destroy the world in the process of conquering it. And once again, you see this part where there's the same faces recurring once again. So what happens when ancient Chinese folklore, sorcery, and herodom, wuxia, real wuxia style stuff, clashes with futuristic superpowers? Well, this is what happens.
This grudge between us has gone on a long time.
Well, don't worry, because it's all going to end here tonight.
Yes, it is. I've looked forward to this.
Isaku, what's wrong? Robo is waiting for your orders. It's all right. Don't get down on yourself. Everyone messes up from time to time. The most important thing is what you do afterward to make up for the mistakes you've made.
I know what you mean now, Taizo. I have to try again. Robo, if you can hear me, respond. Robo, if you can hear my voice, please stand up. Come back. We need you. When you fell, I suddenly realized something very clearly. All this time, I felt like I was fighting the BF Society single-handedly. But I was wrong. Fighting right beside both of us was Issei, Tetsugu, Yoshi, and Taizo, Commander Chujo, Professor Go, and Ginrei. All of us working together as a team. We need you to stand and fight again, and we'll be right there with you. Robo, come back to us. Hear me. Giant Robo, rise!
Yeah, for my money, that might be one of the, maybe the best directed sequence in all anime. It's something I go back to over and over again. And what you're seeing there is in the backdrop, kind of in the background, is a gigantic, horrible energy sphere sucking away the world's supply of energy at the behest of a madman who wants revenge for his wronged father. And in the foreground, a hero and a villain nursing a long grudge or fighting. And then in the middle there is Daisaku, whose ability to control the catalyst, Giant Robo, is dictated by his own mental health. So yeah, Giant Robo, guys, it's good. It's got heroic conflict, high melodrama, editing that builds the tension. That musical score, man, by Masamichi Amano, who also did the music for Urotsuki Doji, cannot forget. And of course, cool robot. But to bring this home, since we've only got about 15 or 20 minutes, I think the most important thing about Giant Robo is just the setting, the way it establishes its setting. And to take a look at that, we're going to look at this clip of the origin of Giant Robo from part of the series.
Now, Daisaku, it's up to you to save the world using this. It's the only thing that can make up for my mistakes. My son, they say that you can never achieve happiness without sacrifice. Now promise me to answer that question when we see one another again.
Yes, Father. Father, don't go! Father? No, Father, please! I need you, don't go! Daddy, come back!
Dad left you a present. So who was that on the catwalk in the background? That's a question that still hasn't been definitively answered. But one thing that's so cool about Giant Robo is that even as it throws these big questions at you, can happiness be achieved without sacrifice? Spoken in the Japanese version, Daisaku's dying father, played by the voice of the Japanese dub actor of James T. Kirk, because Imagawa is a Trekkie to the end. In addition to those themes, this is a series that just throws characters from various things at you over and over again. You know, we saw that there was a battle between Giant Robo and GR2, and these characters from Mars. And I'll show you just a little bit of this next clip, because that magical girl stuff I talked about earlier, that's important. Because hey, there's Sally the Witch.
What's happening?
Sonny, listen to me.
Yes?
I want you to stay right here. Do you understand?
Yes.
This is a first-class emergency. All personnel remain at their stations. I repeat, this is a first-class emergency. The Magnificent 10 are not to leave the compound. The base is now
Mike,
under
help.
control of Koei Tokatsu.
We can't let him get away with this. He's gone too far this time.
Jojoji, we're going to Priority 1 battle stations.
I opened the path. I, Jojoji, seek the truth. The fools! Without the Shizuma drive, better of us. But don't you think you might be over?
Okay, we're not going to watch all of that, but just to break down what you just saw. Okay, so we had Sally the Witch, and we had characters from Babel II, And we had a Taoist sorcerer from the water margin using his magic to activate robots from Gigantor to chase a character from a series called Wolf Constellation. That's where Genya comes from. Driving the Vogler Spear, which is kind of a combination of a super weapon from Mars and a robot from Tetsujin 28. So this is just from everywhere. And these are characters that were not even introduced until the second to last episode, because this is how gutsy this series is. Let's look at one more clip of these amazing surprises that are in store.
It can't be.
Well, I'm afraid it is. It's big good.
That outrageous accent.
That's right. In the flesh, so to speak.
Then are you the Red Mask of the Magnificent Ten?
I am. Now surrender the third sample to me.
The attack must have been a diversion to draw the attention of the Celestial Nine. And now they've come for the third sample while our defenses are down.
And I brought a few friends to help. Observe!
You're going down, scum! Tell me your name so I know what to put on your gravestone!
Very well. If you must...
So this character, Imagawa, came up with his powers when he walked up to a supermarket sliding door and it opened for him. And he thought, wouldn't it be cool if I could split things open using the power of my hands? So what we saw there was there's Masked Ninja Akakage, Red Mask, which was a live action thing and an animated thing. And the character who is snapping things in half with his fingers in this series he's based on a cannon fodder character from one of Yokoyama's manga. But Imagawa gave him the name Fitzcarraldo. And that's no accident. That is absolutely from the Werner Herzog film about the guy trying to drag the riverboat to the Amazon River, Fitzcarraldo. You may not see the resemblance here, but in the character data book, he's got the classy straw hat, just like Klaus Kinski in the actual thing. So this is an anime that operates on every possible level you can imagine. And it seems kind of crazy, but while Imagawa was making Giant Robo, he was also working on G Gundam. He became the first director to do a big non-Universal Century TV series at the recommendation of Yoshiyuki Tomino and various other people. And he did a pretty good job with that. And in fact, he was able to retain Bandai Visual as a sponsor of Giant Robo because of his good work on G Gundam. That's something he said in interviews. And in addition to that, Giant Robo, even during its production cycle, not even afterwards, while this series was being made between 1992 and 1998, it had a lot of kids. There was the Mars OVA created by Imagawa's friend and mentor Nishimura. There was Super Atragon. The director of that, Kazuyoshi Katayama, would later direct the Big O. And he described the series as kind of a vacation from Giant Robo because Imagawa has a reputation as being a bit of a micromanager. He wants everything done a certain way. Ninja Resurrection, which was also by Phoenix Animation, the same studio, had character designs by Keiichi Sato, who is the creator of the Big O. And of course, Violinist of Hameln, that was in production during Giant Robo. Imagawa wrote the screenplay for that one, and the direction for the TV series, which notoriously is not very well animated, but still it's pretty good, was by Junji Nishimura. So this thing had a lot of influence even while it was getting made. That's one of the things that makes it the greatest anime ever. And even while, to account for some production delays and keep fans interested, they even made stuff like this. Like they made a separate OVA series that is at turns kind of a gag series and serious that just focuses on Ginrei. Let's look at a quick clip of that.
Holy! Well, how about that? Ha-ha! We finally have them all! All three of the anti-Shizuma drives we need!
I'm not gonna let that happen!
Huh?
I'm gonna kick your ass even without Robo!
Stop it, Daisaku!
Like Shizuma juice!
See, I defeated Blue Flower!
This is the real ending of Giant Robo. So yeah, this it was at turns gag and serious. We won't have enough time to go through every clip, just because I can see I've got under 10 minutes left, and I want to make sure I wrap this up on time. I don't want to cut into Obi-Wan Shinobi's time. But there was the underage drinking. That's the key to Giant Robo. But another thing about Ginrei too is that one of its episodes is quite serious, and to me, that's a taste of what might have been if Imagawa had gotten to create more and maybe do a TV series. But for me, the secret of Giant Robo's success lies in this clip from the final episode. So let's watch that carefully. Oh, and I know it's been noticed. I apologize for the audio artifacts in the clip. I think my handbrake settings were a little off. Technology, anyway.
Who dares interfere? The arrows that strike their evil mark so accurately are from Shoriko's skilled hand.
I, Shinzan-san, am without fear.
The two masters of Ryu Zanpaku, Kaie, and Koshin have arrived. I admit I'm pleasantly surprised, Kusama. You've stood up like a man. I even see in you the honorable teachings of our late Emperor Chogai Takodo. He once taught us that the truth will only have meaning when questioned by those who seek it. I, for one, am proud to have you among us. Welcome to the club.
Now, initially, I had thought that the emperor there, Chokai, was the Yellow Emperor. From Romance of the Three Kingdoms and whatnot. No, actually, Chokai was this guy. This was the Lord of Mount Leon, one of the pivotal characters of the water margin, and one who, despite being a great charismatic leader, fails to see out the end of the rebellion and the Song dynasty making amends with his people. He's a tragic figure. And to me, that's the secret of Giant Robo. What it does throughout its entire run is it constantly suggests a larger world. And that's my favorite part about it. That's why people fall in love with stuff like Star Wars. It's not because of what you see, but because of what you don't quite see and what you can imagine just beyond what you're seeing. Imagawa, as a director, I think really seemed to grasp that well with this series. And what's incredible to me about Giant Robo is just how crooked the path was. Yokoyama had, for this to happen, Yokoyama had to quit banking. He had to meet Osamu Tezuka and become a manga artist. He had to challenge Tezuka's robot supremacy and be approached by Toei to create Giant Robo, or this wouldn't have happened. He had to fearlessly explore Chinese literature, magical girls, creepy science fiction, or this would not have happened. Yasuhiro Imagawa had to grow up a nerd and a Trekkie. He had to go to Tatsunoko Animation School and then have his ambition as an animator crushed, or this wouldn't have happened. He had to learn as an assistant to master storytellers and hone his skill for melodrama on tales of golfing and cooking, or this wouldn't have happened. And he had to be a success as a Gundam director while he was making this, or it wouldn't have come to fruition. So that's pretty incredible. And we have to ask, too, after Giant Robo wrapped up, after that amazing final episode, what happened? Well, Imagawa had big plans and big ideas for Giant Robo. He had several more storylines, including Daisaku first joining the IPO, an attempt at a global takeover, and the big final showdown. And they were never animated. And none of them happened. Giant Robo was not exactly a flop in Japan. It did all right enough, but it didn't do well enough to keep the sponsors interested. What Imagawa told me personally when I met him in 2003 at Animagic was that if Giant Robo had sold as well in Japan as it did in North America, there probably would have been a sequel. So it's not our fault, guys. We did our part here in North America buying those VHS tapes. And that's a shame. But Imagawa was eventually able to explore some of the ideas he wanted to do in a manga spinoff, Giant Robo: The Day the Earth Burned. That's kind of a cool thing. You can find scanlations of it. It kind of takes the big fire, the bad guys, and the international police, and flips the script where the good guys are the bad guys and vice versa. As for Phoenix Animation, the studio that helped make this all happen, they're still around. They mostly do in-betweening and finish animation. They worked on Gridman, on Cutie Honey Universe. Immediately around Giant Robo, they did Princess Nine, which is a pretty damn good series. They did Nightmare Campus, which, if you want to see what the characters from Giant Robo look like doing porn, there's your answer. And of course, we cannot forget, they did Sin. So in the last 5 minutes of this panel, let's take a quick look at what might have been. This is a pilot for a giant robo that eventually went into production, but not in this form.
そのロボットの名は
So there's more to the pilot. You can find that online, but they eventually the sponsor, Soft Garage, they made a Giant Robo TV series, but it wasn't really like that. It wasn't really like the OVA. It didn't really satisfy anyone, which isn't to say it was that bad. It just wasn't what people were expecting. And the thing that Imagawa did later on, well, he did finally get to realize his dream. Finally got to do Tetsujin 28 in 2003, and the TV series is so good. The movie. They did a movie. It was actually okay, but this is kind of a constant, frustrating constant in Imagawa's career. He'll tell you not to go see the movie because there was studio interference and he wasn't satisfied with it. But there is one happy ending to all of this. For a long time, Giant Robo was out of print. Can happiness be achieved without sacrifice? Well, we did some sacrificing, and you can actually get Giant Robo on Blu-ray from Discotech Media. I did some extras for this release, including a huge production art gallery and about 20 pages of liner notes, mostly about characters and background details. But it's pretty cool. The Ginrei OVAs are out there too, and we can be a fan of this classic series in real time. So that's my pitch for what I think is the greatest anime of all time. And it is, goodness me, it is 10:29. I can't believe I ended just about exactly on time.
Nice.
But I'm pretty psyched. So I'll give my usual sign off. Thanks for coming. Now go away. I will be in person at Otakon, so I hope to see some of you there. And I hope you've enjoyed the panel. John, back over to you. John Paul, back over to you.
Well, thank you so much, Mike. We will, some of us will see you at Otakon. Thank you for coming to Anime Lockdown. I wish you a good night.
Good night, all.
Cheers.